So I'm interested in seeing how we take care of all these needs. How are we going to take care of some of these other needs, such as the master plans? And the other thing I'm concerned about, there were some very important things, and I recognize, modernizing is a great thing to do, but where does it fit in the priorities of the district? And which of these modernization tools is the biggest bang for the buck, and how are we going to schedule them out? Because we can't do all of this, right now. It's a vast undertaking.
We think it's a challenge, but we also think that's the only way I'm going to deliver almost $2 million of cost efficiencies to you.
Strictly by modernizing our data.
By modernizing our operations and moving forward with, again, until you know what we have, until we can't measure it, again, it's
So what's our time frame?
this is really a 3-year plan. I mean, this is really kind of laying out, as Don was talking about, it's not really a strategic business plan or a direction, but it could be labeled that way because ultimately we've got to get there. This is pretty clear what our financial picture will look like within just a few percentage points, 4 years out. And so we've got a real strong goal to get there. And then all of this kind of does fit together, and I appreciate the idea that, it's a tall order, and getting the right people in to address it. I think it's an exciting thing. I think it's going to take us the right way, and if we do achieve some additional revenues, well, that's great. But there's always a sunk cost in going after those revenues, too.
Are you talking about getting the right people in to do it? Are you talking about new hires, or are you talking about consultants again?
Mostly folks that we'll have here manage it. I mean, consultants can only do what they're managed. I mean, I don't want to whine to you right now. I just get a little tired of consultants. They're killing me with the requests for information in order for them to think that they're going to generate value. It's the classic bar you watch tell you with time. But we have to have the right folks in house. So we've got some key people we're hiring within the next year because of some replacements, and then that's going to also, I think, bring a focus on what some of our existing folks have wanted to do for a while and have needed some help getting there. I mean, I really don't think that there's anything you saw today that you all haven't seen in one frame or format in the last 5 or 6 years.
The last 50.
And ultimately, it's trying to put them together here on a sheet and say, this is what we think we're doing. And make sure that we have 5 heads nodding and say, okay, that's kind of sort of the right direction, and we hear, make sure you can measure it, see if you can get some new revenues, make sure that you've got this other message going out to talk about a different type of message statewide that says rural and mountain communities are not like a Bay Area community, and making sure that we're clear about that.
Well, there's always the whole component of the fact that we have the water. It just kills me that we're being asked. I mean, it's like telling somebody who lives in Carmel, listen, you only look at the ocean every other day. We're lucky. We have a natural resource that we're in charge of using, and I want our community to be able to use it. I want people to be able to have a garden, and I recognize that, who are we conserving this for?
Ultimately, it's a matter of again, I try to even avoid the term conservation because of that in the communities here. It's really about responsible use of a resource. I mean, and we are.
I really appreciate that. I think that's where we need to be headed when we talk to our customers. When we make any responsible use is the important term, because there is modern technology. I mean, there's so many things that they could be doing down in the valley that would save so much water. I mean, they're given hundreds of millions of dollars for things. Start give some almond farmers some money to put in drip irrigation. Make that a requirement of any new orchard. I mean, there's hundreds of things that they could do that would be far more efficient than asking Calvert County to to, you know, not water lawns and not have gardens.
But
It's silly.
And there's some natural transitions, and when I talk about our conservation program, it's the use of, say, natives, because natives and fire protection typically go hand in glove. And so, yeah, it sounds like a water conservation message, but it's really a fire smart landscape that I think has as much merit for our community.
Even not the landscape aside, for me, it's also a revenue issue. You know, we are in the water selling business. You know, I mean, I've never gone to a guy and said, you know, I think you need a smaller metal building than you are asking me for. I've never done that. And as a matter of fact, I always tell them, I've never built one too big for anything. And those are both true statements. I mean,
You know, this is a fine list and it's a fine presentation. I almost 100%, I agree with most of that. But I'd like to see it more in like a spreadsheet kind of a thing, and see it in terms of the first year doing these things, we're going to have X dollar of savings, X dollar of savings. It's real easy to say we've got 43 things that we're going to look at that's going to make us more efficient and save us money. But if I can't quantify it, I can't see it. If one of those line items saves us $400,000, I'm gonna be all over that puppy. But if I don't know how much it's going to save, then I really can't champion that line item. So if there's things here that are actually going to cause those savings, those efficiencies, money, bottom line, then I'd like to know what those are. Because right now it just sounds really good. But is this going to equate to $5 in savings or $5 million in savings over a 3-year period? I don't know that.
That's the core issue, is we don't have that data in a mechanism where it's achievable and recallable. It's again, we can't tell you how much it costs to treat a million gallons of wastewater, but we're making agreements to sell it or move it on. And those are the kind of fundamental data gaps that I think that would make it really easy to plug into the kind of report you would like.
But don't we have staff members that say, gee, if we did this SCADA thing, it's going to cost us the first year $50,000, but we're going to save $250,000 in the second and third year with a SCADA enhancement?
They don't have that data.
Well, how do you pick what you're going to do if you don't know if it's going to actually create efficiencies and save money?
We were able to get there by doing some benchmarking and sequencing how we're looking at it, so we get a feel for where those are going. But ultimately, it's a matter of if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And right now, the measurements that go with this, we've done a great job on our fiscal measurements. We have terrific accounting protocols and we know where the money's going, but ultimately, how is that turned into information? And these are the tools that we have to get in place.
So we're going to look at these things as far as I see for enhancements. I see those as it really being some positive things, but I don't know how we're going to offset 1.8 million by doing these things. If that's what I'm interested in knowing, because in 3 years, if I'm here, I'm going to be sitting here and saying, well, we did all of these things, but we're still $1.8 million short. That's not, I mean, I don't know how to measure it. I'm the guy that measures everything.
I hear you. And, you know, those are things that we're looking to develop.
Director Dean had a comment.
No, I'm just scratching my back. Patting my back.
Patting your back.
Somebody has to.
Is anything further on this?
No, I think we've heard what we needed to hear in terms of guidance. We did have a few more things that we could have gone into, but I think it's an opportunity, because again, we're kicking off the budget process, and we wanted to make sure that the board had input in terms of priorities and vision in order to be responsive to the vision. You know, it's give me some measurements, Mitch, got it. And we need to make sure that that leads up in front. Otherwise, we wouldn't be satisfying necessarily satisfying those needs and interests. And so that's why we're here today.
Is there any other questions or direction that anything further you expected out of this meeting, Mitch, that we haven't quite got to yet?
No, I think ultimately we'll come back and give you a bit of it. I think there's some key point issues that dealing with you as the board president, to make sure that we've got clarity as we develop the budget's important. And so I think we have the guidance you need. Looking to key staff members, was there inputs that needed to be achieved?
Okay, and we do have a public comment. Ken, can you?
Just very quickly, and I was listening to your discussions up here, and at least 3 of you indicated need to be looking for increased ways to increase revenues. And I'm not sure, and I applaud the presentation and the look at the expense side in order to become more efficient and better use of the ratepayer monies here. One thing I think you need to possibly consider, and I can give you lots of examples of the pain and suffering that is being caused by the current rates that you're now charging. And I think hopefully you'll keep in mind that to continue going back to that particular well for increased rates should be taken off the table because they're way out of control already. So the expense side should be continued to be looked at as the appropriate way. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, I think we're concluding this agenda item and moving on to board reports, information, future agenda items. We'll start at the left end of the table here. Dennis, you got anything? Board reports?
My intention is to go to the NCPA commission meeting tomorrow in Roseville. Unless I get some direction otherwise to consider. We have a committee meeting for the engineering next, the 3rd of next month. But other than that, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. Director Dean.
Yeah, I've got a board meeting this week. I'm headed out in a short period to a USGS presentation on groundwater issues in eastern San Joaquin County, which is critical to our West County area. There's all kinds of stuff going on. It's pretty hard to just even track most of it because it just goes from one thing to another. So I guess that's about all I have.
Okay, and I have nothing to report today. Director Stone?
Yeah, I'm gonna forgo my normal report on meetings. I've got. Thank you. I knew you'd like that, Jeff. Last board meeting, you guys had to suffer through my frustration. Like Jeff says, I tend to be a little bit, well, I don't know what word you use, but I tend to be there.
It depends.
It's usually a 4-letter word.
Yeah, 4-letter. I've got some concerns I wanted to bring up. In 2013, I requested an update to our strategic plan. This was a really big deal for us. We put a lot of time, effort into it, and we were supposed to get quarterly reports. At our October 28th board meeting, Mr. Dion told us he was not satisfied with our existing plan and wanted to change the plan. He indicated that we would have a study session in January with the board. We've never received the update and never had the study session. January 17th, I requested an agenda item for the board to discuss potential water transfers. Was never placed on the agenda. I requested a report on our ag study. I asked Mr. Dion 9 weeks ago and then again asked at our board meeting 2 weeks ago. It's never happened. 5 months ago on October 28th, we had an Operation Headquarters Ad Hoc Committee meeting. We were told of ongoing issues. I asked for a meeting of our Operations Headquarters Ad Hoc Committee 2 weeks ago. Nothing has been scheduled. On March 5th, our CFR meeting was canceled after numerous email requests. We were told there would be a 1 to 2 week delay. It's now been 3 weeks and nothing has been scheduled. We had a finance committee meeting in January, none in February, none in March. The next finance committee meeting to look at the budget will be in May. Progressing on this schedule, we will only have 4 finance committee meetings this year. Last year, we had 8 finance committee meetings. I'm wondering if we no longer have any pressing financial issues. And then I have an additional request. May 14th is Mr. Dion's 1-year anniversary since his last evaluation. As per his employment contract, I ask that we schedule his evaluation to fit this upcoming time frame. And then I had some questions regarding consultant of the J. Crowley Group. That's the district engineer contract. We have a 6-month contract, 2 to 3 days per week at $170 per hour or 75,000 K. 65,000 was from 13-14 budget. We've already paid 74,145 for the CIP program and capital R&R. This would be a total of $149,145 for the first 6 months of 2014. If that's a full year, if it goes on another full year, that would be $300,000. I don't see our R&R program not needing a district engineer into the future. I'm wondering, should we be paying consultants this much money, or should we be hiring somebody that's going to be here full-time? So that's just and then some of this stuff is finance committee stuff and probably can't be addressed until then, but I do have some serious concerns after this contract is over. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Director Davidson.
I have nothing.
Okay. That concludes our board reports. Next board meetings, Wednesday, April 9th, 2014, 9 a.m., a regular board meeting in this room, and Wednesday, April 23rd, 2014, at 9 a.m., a regular board meeting right here in this room, and we are officially adjourned.